Right then, this one is bound to ruffle a few feathers and cause some controversy, and I do expect lots of arguments and discussions in the comments, so let's dive in there afterwards and let me know your thoughts on this matter as well. Now, here's what's happened. Manchester United are considering selling the naming rights to a refurbished or a new stadium at Old Trafford to increase revenues to help sort of fund it. It's part of Jim Ratcliffe's strategy to figure out how he's going to fund the project. We obviously saw his little tongue-in-cheek sort of shout towards the government of, oh, maybe we should have a Wembley of the North. No, not interested. All right, cool. Now, exploratory talks have supposedly begun with financial institutions like the Bank of America for funding options. Now, the club has not made any decisions yet regarding those plans. It might just be a case of, let's look at the feasibility. Could we raise, say, $1 billion from it? Now, I would think that that's quite a good idea. If it was going to be called INEOS Old Trafford, for example, and the club gets $1 billion to do that, and that either funds the new stadium or funds the refurbishment of the current one, does anyone have an issue with it? Are you going to call it the INEOS Old Trafford, or is it just Old Trafford? I genuinely, like, I don't really care, to be honest, about what you call your stadium. Especially the older stadiums. It's Old Trafford, and it'll always be Old Trafford. No, I never once referred to where Newcastle play as the Sports Direct Arena. It was St James's Park always, wasn't it? Regardless of what they make them say on TV because of the relationships that they've got for it, it is St James's Park just as much as it would continue to be Old Trafford. Now, United have still got over £650 million worth of debt because of the Glazer family ownership. The £238 million cash injection that Jim Ratcliffe put as part of his takeover was used to reduce the debt and help United free up some of our revolving credit facility. Now, Old Trafford has never sold the naming rights, unlike obviously new stadiums like the Emirates or the Etihad. We do have the Emirates Old Trafford just down the road from Old Trafford where Lancashire Cricket Club play, and if refurbished, it might keep the name Old Trafford, but add a sponsor similar to the way you've got with Wembley Stadium. A new stadium would likely see the naming rights sold potentially in its entirety for significant revenue, but I think it'll still be, let's presume it's INEOS. It could be Bank of America. INEOS Old Trafford works for me, to be honest with you. Like, yeah, couldn't really care, especially if it's put it this way. If it was the sort of investment that was going to see the Glazers removed or the debt removed or both ideally, yeah, call it whatever the fuck you want. I honestly couldn't give a shit. The funding strategies that they're talking about, INEOS are expected to seek a bit of a mix of public and private funding or debt for the project. There's talk of potential ticket prices also being considered to fund the stadium project, which I think is a stupid idea. I think Old Trafford and Manchester United at the moment, it's a common sense level of pricing. It ain't cheap, and if it goes up a bit more, it'll be a bit of a pinch. But it's okay at the moment. Like, I don't feel it's not the absolute shaggings that Chelsea and Arsenal are getting, is it? And it's not the non-league level of pricing that Manchester City have got. It's a good value price, I think, for United for the most part. So I would be against any ticket rises. Any ticket rises is going to reduce the number of youngsters that are involved, which is a bad thing always. The current plans on ticketing and pricing is supposedly that United want to increase the season ticket prices by about 5% for next season. And that follows a similar increase after what's been quite a long time of no price rises. The stadium obviously needs renovation or a revamp. Obviously, everyone's well aware of what's going on with the roof. Ratcliffe estimates that a refurbishment could cost around $1 billion, but also could raise the capacity above 90,000. A new stadium could cost in the region of $2 billion, and does seem to be Ratcliffe's personal preference in terms of what we're going to do. Now, there is a task force that has been led by Seb Coe, Gary Neville's involved, loads of other notable public figures, including the likes of Andy Burnham, and discussions include making the stadium a bit of a centerpiece of a sport and leisure and business kind of campus, which is right for in that area of the city, to be honest with you. I think there's a lot of scope for that land to be used as something rather than shipping containers, which I can't imagine it's the easiest place to get shipping containers in and out of, whether it's by rail. Yes, you've got the water's quite close there as well, but it just doesn't feel like an optimal position for that sort of stuff to happen. I feel if you expanded the city out, you've got Media City right on the doorstep. As an extension of Media City, some sort of like Old Trafford campus would probably go down quite well, I think, there. Now, public funding, the discussions around that are broader discussions rather than just solely on the stadium itself. There's probably going to be some public resistance due to Radcliffe and the Glazer family's historical kind of financial practices. The likes of Cantonara are strongly against selling the naming rights of the stadium, fearing that it would lose a little bit of the club's soul and history. And I'm sure there'll be pushback. Hence why I said at the start of the show, I don't know if everyone's going to agree on this. My personal point of view is, I'll always call it Old Trafford. It doesn't take it away from what it is. And for the eye-watering amounts of cash involved, why not? I mean, especially if it retains Old Trafford in the title. If it's, like I said, just as an example, INEOS Old Trafford. Does anyone have a major objection to that? Let me know in the comments, because clearly Erik Cantona does. But do any of you like, what's the major drawback to that? Is it just like it feels a bit icky? I don't, you know, I understand the desire to want it to be called Old Trafford, but I don't know. Let me know. See you in the next one. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.